Good day to you all. Welcome for you to join this interesting webinar about hiring in the Netherlands, how an employer of record solution can simplify your expansion across the Netherlands and further into Europe. My name is Bart Brinkman. I'm the Business Development Manager here at Briddge Legal and Finance, and I will be your host today together with my colleagues from the Employer of Record team. Today we have a very interesting topic. My colleague Olga from the Employer of Record team will explain more about it. And I will take you now to the next slide. In general, I want to say a few things why the Netherlands is interesting as the gateway into Europe. We see many of our clients using the Netherlands as their main entrance to expand their business across Europe. As you know, we have a very multilingual, highly skilled workforce here in the Netherlands, and many international companies decided to choose the Netherlands as their main entrance for their business and expansion. We have the big seaports, Rotterdam, of course, and also the big airport, Rotterdam, for Amsterdam. And many of our clients are using both gateways to further expand, as mentioned earlier. Hiring international can be quite a challenge, and today my colleague Olga will explain more about the flexible options we can offer you for either being a Dutch company, but also being a non-Dutch company. So Olga, I would like to give the floor to you now, and I will speak to you later during the closure.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thanks so much for joining today's session on Employer of Record solutions and how Briddge can support your hiring needs in the Netherlands. We will cover a lot from how EoR works and when it makes sense to use it, how it compares with traditional employment models, and the scenarios where it's most effective. We will also explore short-term versus long-term EoR setups, how to approach hiring both EU and non-EU employees, including work permits and 30% ruling. And we'll take a moment to unpack some common myths we often hear about EoR. You'll also see how Briddge in particular can help simplify hiring in the Netherlands, whether or not you have a local entity yet. And we'll guide you through the setup process and timeline so you know exactly how quickly you can get started. And as we go, feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A chat box, which we will answer at the end of the webinar. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is an employer of record, or EoR? Put simply, an employer of record is the legal employer of your team abroad. So imagine you're a company based in the US, Europe, Asia, wherever. You would like to test the Dutch market and have found perfect candidates. But then reality hits. Setting up a local entity just to hire one person? It's like building an entire office from scratch just for a single desk. Expensive, time-consuming, and there's a lot of paperwork involved. That's where an employer of record comes in. And here's how it works. You find the right person for the role. EoR becomes the legal employer in the Netherlands. They take care of everything behind the scenes: payroll, taxes, work permits, contracts, compliance, HR support. And you still manage the day-to-day work and performance, just like any other team member. No entity setup needed, at least not for the time being. Whether you're expanding your business or tapping into Dutch talent, understanding your options is crucial. Today, we'll explore two primary pathways: establishing a Dutch entity and using an employer of record solution. So let's dive in. First, let's look at establishing a Dutch entity. Well, this involves registering with the Dutch Chamber of Commerce, the tax office, the UWV, which is the employee insurance agency, and becoming a recognized sponsor with the Dutch immigration authorities, the IND, if you want to hire non-EU nationals. You will handle payroll, taxes, pensions, unemployment law, compliance in-house. While this gives you full control, it does come with a high administrative burden and liability. This route is ideal for businesses planning long-term operations in the Netherlands with the resources to manage these responsibilities. Alternatively, an employer of record offers streamlined approach. With an EoR, there is no need to set up a legal entity upfront. The EoR provider manages everything: payroll, taxes, HR, compliance, and immigration on your behalf. This option is flexible, scalable, and significantly faster, with onboarding typically taking just 2 to 4 weeks. So it's perfect for businesses testing the Dutch market or needing quick, compliant hiring without the administrative overhead. If you are unsure which route best fits your needs, you are not alone. Most providers focus on either EoR solutions or legal entity setup, but rarely both. That's where Briddge stands apart. We offer a full range of services and take the time to understand your unique business needs. If you are unsure which path is the best fit, we'll walk you through each option. EoR, entity setup, or a hybrid approach, explaining the steps, pros and cons along the way, so you can make a well-informed decision aligned with your goals. When people think of EoR, they often assume it's only meant for short-term solutions. As the legislation stands now, EoR can be just as valuable for long-term strategies. So let's look at a few examples. Short-term use cases include situations like testing out a new market. Maybe you want to hire 1 or 2 employees in a new region to explore potential. EoR makes that quick and simple without upfront legal setup. Or maybe there is an urgent talent need, like replacing a critical role fast. EoR allows you to onboard someone quickly without getting bogged down in entity or visa delays. Another case is if you need access to a recognized sponsor, which is often required for certain visa types. If your own company isn't registered as one, but you urgently need to employ a non-EU national, using an EoR that is a recognized sponsor can be a game changer. Now, when we talk about the long term, we often see clients using EoR even if they don't have plans to set up a legal entity right away. We actually have a great example of this. One of our clients has been working with us for over 8 years using our EoR service. Over the years, they've hired 7 non-EU employees through us. They have set up their own entity here, but they haven't acquired recognized sponsorship yet. EoR option has allowed them to build a strong local team. It's a very good example on how EoR can work really well, not just in the short term, but also as a long-term solution too. When bringing international talent, compliance is the key. The rules differ significantly between EU and non-EU talent. So let's break it down. For EU nationals, the process is more straightforward. No work permits are required. For non-EU talent, however, the biggest hurdle is often IND sponsorship. And that is where an EoR really shines. A qualified EoR, like Briddge Employer of Record, is already a recognized IND sponsor. That means that you can skip the 3 to 6 month wait to become a sponsor yourself. EoR handles work permits and residence applications for both employees and their family members. And they also apply for the 30% ruling tax on your 30% tax ruling on your behalf, making sure all the deadlines and salary requirements are met. If you're not familiar with it, the 30% ruling is a significant advantage when hiring internationally. I recommend looking into it as a powerful tool for attracting international talent to the Netherlands. It actually allows up to 30% of an employee's salary to be paid tax-free, provided certain conditions are met. And it's available to both EU and non-EU employees. For example, one of our clients recently hired a developer from India through us. We took care of the full immigration process for him, his spouse, and their 3 kids, and the 30% ruling once he arrived in the Netherlands. That made the whole experience smooth from day one. At Briddge, we also have a special agreement with the Dutch tax office, so we can assess eligibility for the 30% ruling early on and apply it as soon as possible. Now, let's do a quick true or false quiz. In just a moment, you'll see the question on your screen. Non-EU hires always require months of waiting in the Netherlands. Please go ahead and select your answer now. All right, most of you got it right, and the correct answer is false. It is a common belief that hiring non-EU talent in the Netherlands always takes months, but that's not necessarily true. If the company is a recognized sponsor with the IND and the candidate meets the criteria, for example, as a highly skilled migrant, the process can actually be quite fast. In many cases, approval comes through within just 2 to 4 weeks. So with the right setup in place, hiring non-EU talent doesn't have to involve long delays. All right, now that we've covered how EoR works and when to use it, let's take a moment to clear up some common misunderstandings. There are quite a few myths floating around about EoR. Things like it's only for freelancers, or it's risky for the company, or even that it's just a temporary workaround. So in this next part, we're going to separate fact from fiction and tackle some of the questions or concerns we hear most often from clients. So myth 1, CLA doesn't apply under EoR. Even if you hire via EoR, you can ignore the CLA, right? Well, in the Netherlands, many roles fall under a collective labor agreement, or CLA, which sets rules around pay, hours, holidays, and more. Some clients assume that using an EoR means CLA rules don't apply. Well, that actually is a myth. Under Dutch law, EoR hires must receive the same employment terms as direct employees performing comparable work. This is known as the hirer's remuneration principle, as outlined in Article 8 of the Dutch Placement of Personnel by Intermediaries Act, also known as WADI. I have included a direct link to the Act, which you can access once we share the slides after the webinar. So yes, CLA compliance still matters, and don't worry, we can run a CLA check for you in parallel with the onboarding process. Myth 2, pension is always mandatory. All employees via EoR get pension contributions, right? No, pension is actually not always required. It actually depends on 2 things. So the first one is if the hiring company offers pension to their direct employees in similar roles, or if the company falls under a CLA that includes a pension fund. If neither applies, pension through EoR is optional, not mandatory. If you wish to offer pension to your employees, we can certainly support by offering our adequate pension plan. Myth 3, EoR is legally risky. EoR sounds risky. Are you really compliant with Dutch employment laws? Well, that's totally false. It's generally not risky. When picking an EoR provider in the Netherlands, however, it's a good idea to check if they have the SNA quality mark. This mark shows they follow all the right rules, such as paying taxes and social security on time, checking IDs properly, and adhering to Dutch employment laws. It helps protect your company from any unexpected risks, and it's a good sign that the provider is reliable and compliant. So, how does this all come together in practice? Let me show you how Briddge EoR makes hiring in the Netherlands fast, compliant, and hassle-free. At Briddge, we make hiring and expanding in the Netherlands simple. With our team, we cover everything an EoR provider does: payroll, tax, compliance, work permits, and the 30% ruling. But we also assist when you're ready to set up your own Dutch entity and become a recognized IND sponsor. We are already a recognized sponsor, and with our SNA quality mark, we make sure everything runs smoothly and by the book. Most of our non-EU hires are fully onboarded in just 2 to 4 weeks. We've helped a lot of clients in all kinds of situations. Our team looks at the full picture, keeps you up to date with any legislative updates, and offers flexible advice tailored to your plans. Now, let me give you a real example of how that works. A Dutch tech startup had a very talented employee. Let's call her Nina, a recent graduate on a post-study orientation visa, also known as zoekjaar in the Netherlands. With just 1 month left on the visa, they faced a critical problem. Their Dutch entity wasn't a recognized sponsor, but losing Nina would disrupt key projects. And here's how our team solved it. As a recognized IND sponsor, we onboarded Nina in just 2 weeks before her visa expired. While employing her under our sponsorship, our Briddge immigration team simultaneously prepared the client's Dutch entity to become a recognized sponsor. Once the company's sponsorship was approved, we transferred Nina's residence permit and employment without interruption. At Briddge, we take compliance seriously. So no, onboarding isn't just a few clicks and done. We follow a thorough, well-structured onboarding process. That includes a financial and recruitment check, signing of all necessary agreements, immigration support for non-EU hires, ID verification, and, if applicable, submitting the 30% ruling application. What we can promise is tailored solutions, personal approach, and transparent fee structure. We charge a one-time setup fee, which covers everything from onboarding and contracts to immigration handling. Then there's a monthly admin fee, which is based on the employee's compensation package. If you are hiring multiple employees, we also offer attractive discounted rates, and there are no hidden costs with us. After onboarding, your involvement is minimal. We take care of things like sick leave, vacation tracking, terminations, etc. So you can focus on running your business while we handle the compliance. All right, let's move into the Q&A part of our session. I can see that we've had some great questions come in already, and our moderators already sent me some of the earlier ones. I am not sure we have time to answer all of them, so let's get started with a few. We are a Japanese company and are considering using an EoR in the Netherlands. Our employee will be relocating with their family. Can you help with their residence permits? And will the spouse need a separate work permit? Well, absolutely. We assist not only with the employee's residence and work authorization, but also with dependent family members. What many don't realize is that family members of highly skilled migrants, like spouses, automatically have free access to the Dutch labor market. So no additional work permit is needed for the spouse, which can be a real benefit for the family. Okay, turning now to the next question. How do probation periods or terminations work under EoR? Can we still enforce our own company policies? Yes, we align with Dutch employment law, but we will reflect your internal policies as much as possible. We can include setting a probation period or managing notice period and supporting terminations compliantly as well. Many of our clients actually prefer to sign a separate NDA with the employee, and that is also an option with us. But we will always walk you through each option on how to implement a certain policy. That was a great question. Similarly, another participant wonders if an EoR provides employee benefits and what kind of benefits are included. Well, I can only speak on Briddge EoR, Briddge Employer of Records policies, and yes, we can accommodate any benefits you wish to offer to your employees. It can include pension contributions or healthcare insurance, travel allowances, car allowances, and many more. And of course, we will ensure compliance with local regulations. Let's have a look. Yeah, that brings us to our next questions. Is there ever a situation where EoR wouldn't be the right fit? I think it's an excellent question. And I would say that if you're planning to hire a full team and open a Dutch entity within a few months, it might make more sense to go directly with a local setup. EoR is ideal for flexibility and agility, but of course, we are always happy to advise you on the best long-term route. Just contact us about that. Okay, let's see what's next. I can see that we have a question from a US participant. So the question is, we are a US-based company hiring a non-EU employee through EoR. How long does the visa process take, and can the employee start working before the permit is approved? Well, that's a great question. This actually applies to all immigration cases, not just EoR. For highly skilled migrants, once the visa application is submitted to Dutch immigration authorities, the IND, approval usually comes through in about 2 to 3 weeks, though sometimes it varies. One important note, though, is your new hire typically cannot start working in the Netherlands until they actually have their permit or at least a positive decision from the IND. The good news is that we will always walk you and your employee through every step to keep things moving quickly and smoothly. This next question came up several times in the chat, I see. You mentioned that you do a financial check. What does it entail? Well, a financial check is a necessary part of our due diligence process to confirm financial health of the company, mainly that they are able to pay their employees' salaries long-term. We typically request annual reports for the past 3 years and provisional year-to-date financial statements for the current year, including the balance sheet and profit and loss statement. I think we have time for one more question. Okay, let's pick this one. We currently have an EoR provider, but are considering switching. Is it possible? How long does it take? And what are the steps? Well, yes, that's definitely possible. If the employee is already in the Netherlands and depending on their immigration status, the transition can be fairly quick. We will still need to run our standard checks, of course, like the financial review and recruitment check, and the timeline depends on your specific case. I also recommend checking the termination terms with your current provider and perhaps starting onboarding with a new one in parallel to save time. If you wish to discuss your specific situation, feel free to reach out and we can always schedule a call. As we near the end of today's session, I will give floor to Bart. For those who submitted questions we couldn't get to, I'll follow up with each one of you individually. We really appreciate your time and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Olga. That was quite interesting. And as you explained, here at Briddge, we can offer quite a wide range of services to make sure that your hiring process under an EoR solution will be, first of all, compliant, flexible, and will cater your needs to start your expansion here in the Netherlands and across Europe. As you can see on the last slide, with the concluding remarks, also a website is mentioned. Briddge has a kind of one-stop shop service approach for our clients. So we help with company formation, we help with immigration, as Olga also explained a few options there. We help with tax law, and we also help with bookkeeping, payroll, and HR services. So this EoR service is quite a specific service we offer for our clients, either for a long-term solution or a short-term solution. And as mentioned earlier, it will become our responsibility that you are compliant and can also enjoy the specific incentives like the 30% ruling, but also the work residence permits for the partner and the children under 18. A few more things about Briddge. We're headquartered in Amsterdam. We also have offices in Rotterdam, The Hague, and Eindhoven. And we're also based in London and in Los Angeles. So we have quite an extensive outprint there across the globe where we can help our clients either coming from North America, also from Europe, and also from Asia. With this, I would like to conclude this webinar. I would like to thank you very much for your attendance and also the very interesting questions that we could cover most of them. Feel free to reach out either via the website or via the email eor@briddge.com, or link with us via LinkedIn, either with Olga or myself, and we will be more than happy to answer your questions and see if we are possible to assist you. Thank you again, and looking forward to speaking with you soon.